Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
TNT's first convicted human trafficker finally captured. From the Trinidad Guardian on 12th of February 2024. Tunapuna businessman Anthony Smith, who escaped custody before he became the first person to be convicted as a human trafficker in Trinidad and Tobago, was finally captured by a team of police officers on the evening of Sunday, 11th February. Smith, 38, was first arrested and charged on the 5th of January 2016 for recruiting a child for the purpose of trafficking, 17 charges of sexually penetrating a child, 5 charges of child prostitution, and 3 charges of assault. The offences occurred during the period December 2014 to July 2015. On the 2nd of November 2023, a jury found Smith guilty on all 5 counts of trafficking of a child. He was sentenced to 15 years on each count, with sentences to run concurrently and to begin on his arrest.
Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome to Dependency right here on I-95.5 FM, live on the Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. And thank you very much for joining us. Now, that was the end of the story. But where did it all begin? Well, in this hour, you will hear from the victim herself, the survivor herself, how it all went down. But the focus is this morning not on the brother who is doing his time now, but on the young lady and how many more Sarahs we have out there. We have hundreds. This is your moment, this is your time to understand and listen from Sarah's experience and see how you can or what you can do to prevent it from happening to your home. A daughter ending up in the hands of a trafficker. That's how we're going to shape this program today after you hear the interview with the young lady and how it all began for her to end up in the arms of this gentleman. After you hear from you will hear from the Deputy Director of the Counter-Trafficking Unit, Ministry of National Security, and her advice to parents and her thoughts on the act that means the purpose of human trafficking, how to prevent another Sarah from happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and how to spot it.
Indeed,
Yes?
and we want you to listen very carefully to what Sarah had to say. This is indeed a landmark case in Trinidad and Tobago, and to me it's the first time that we've been able to put the pieces of the puzzle together as far as human trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago is concerned. So we want you to listen carefully and see what you can glean from how Sarah got herself in this situation and how the perpetrator, who thankfully is now behind bars, was instrumental in making a vulnerable person a victim of human trafficking.
So you're going to hear from growing up at home, her family, the transition from her family outward, why she had to make the decision she did, and where it all ended up with the gentleman now serving time. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and when we return in this break too, you're going to get a preview of, in the same human trafficking theme. This time we'll have the IOM in here. You will see a trailer from the 12,000. That's what we're going to feature next Sunday, God's willing. But pay attention. Any Sarahs out there? Any Sarahs you know of out there? You will hear from Sarah herself.
Any Anthony Smiths.
Or any Anthony Smith. And you know, unfortunately for him, but as a young man, 30, now he's 38, for you to live that life of torment until you are finally put where you are now. I wonder how you feel now. You stood in court with your head bowed when the magistrate was speaking. Yeah, I wonder how you feel now that your life has come to an end. Did you really plan that? Did you see that happening? And what about all the Anthony Smiths out there? What about you? You think you're going to go through life and probably at some point not pay for it? We're not here to condemn you. You know why you choose to do what you did and get involved in that life. But really and truly, Anthony Smith now, poor guy. But I mean, I understand what you mean. Understand what I'm going to say, that, you know, for making the wrong choices. And this is what I speak about most time in my lectures. Making the wrong choices. And now, at the age of 38, your life belongs to the state. Your life belongs to the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service for the rest of your natural life. Well, you know, it depends on how things goes. But from the sentence he got.
Yes, which is a
and
total
Natasha was
of
just breaking it down for me.
75 years in total.
Right. If we're wrong, somebody please correct us. But he was given, you know the sentence, 15 years. But on each count, there's 5 counts or something like that.
Yes.
So let's go to the break. And when we return, you will hear part 1 of Sarah's interview and her journey inside the door of almost no return. We'll be back.
Hey, Cappy, talk to you now, boy. Got a small work for you to do. You make a quick 10 G's. What you gonna do for me?
10 G's? Where's I on my do there, boy?
What you doing? Taking your boat, run up the islands, pick up some people and then bring them back here for me. That's all you have to do.
That sound like human trafficking, boy. That's a serious crime. I can't make that.
Trafficking in human beings is a serious violation of a person's human rights. It violates a person's right to freedom of movement, freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and freedom of identity. It is a heinous crime which affects local, regional, and international peace and security. A victim of human trafficking is subjected to many types of abuse. The crime destroys a person's dignity and self-worth. Victims often feel hopeless, are suicidal, and are stigmatized in their communities. Child victims are deprived of their rights to education, play, and social interactions. They're essentially robbed of their childhood, and that can never be regained once those years have passed. If we do little or nothing to fight against human trafficking in our country, we can face economic sanctions from international agencies and partners. Our country will be losing money. Doing little or nothing to fight against human trafficking will tarnish our country's international image and, most of all, the value we place on human life. Human trafficking is no respecter of persons. Anyone can be a victim. So let us all strive to safeguard human life and dignity in Trinidad and Tobago.
We are the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security, Trinidad and Tobago, safeguarding human life.
यत्रो ठुलो भइसक्यो मलाई चिन्यो
My family has no idea where I am. When I saw your uniform, I thought you are going to save me. I'm just a child. You should help me.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays, at 10 a.m., and exclusively, on I95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us after this very short break. And I hope you saw and recognized the trailer for the short film called The 12,000, which is also based on human trafficking. And hopefully, if we have time before we leave, we will play that again. So let's go straight to part one of Sarah's story. It is captured in audio, but we have put it into a video format for you, for those of our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. But you should be able to hear every detail of this clip, this first part one of Sarah's story.
This is reality radio at its best. Eye on Dependency on I95.5 FM.
Trafficking in persons is a serious crime and a grave violation of human rights. Every year, thousands of men, women, children fall into the hands of traffickers in their own countries and abroad. Almost every country in the world is affected by trafficking, whether as a country of origin, transit, or destination for victims.
This evening on Eye on Dependency, we share an interview with Sarah, a teenager who was coerced into the sex trade. Sarah is the first survivor of sex trafficking that we've been privileged to interview, and we thank her for telling her story.
Sarah lived in a single-parent home with many siblings, and her early life was spent competing for attention. As the relationship with her mother began to sour, Sarah was sent to live with her father, with whom she longed to develop a bond.
Home was always, it was never actually quiet, because it's like a family of, 6 children, and it's only my mom, no father figure around. So most of the time my mom would be working. My siblings, we were all kids. It would have a lot of drama when mommy is in there, a lot of noise per se, disagreements.
So who took care of you all when mom wasn't around?
Basically ourselves.
Did you ever live with your father at all?
Actually did for 3 years.
And what was that like?
At the beginning it was confusing, because, he was never wrong at the beginning. So I actually wanted us to build that father-daughter relationship, but that never happened.
What would have caused you to be with him and not your mom and the rest of the siblings?
Well, after a while living with my mom, I had my little phase of attitude or, becoming a teenager. And my mom, she sent me by my dad after a number of disagreements.
Sarah spent a tumultuous 3 years with her father, where she began harming herself to ease the pain. Sarah said she felt trapped without any agency over her life choices. Meanwhile, her father was not capable of treating appropriately with her teenage frustrations, and when he lashed out, Sarah had enough.
he sent you back by your mom afterwards?
Well, yeah, after the 3 years, I basically couldn't stand living with my dad anymore because
Why?
he was very controlling, like very controlling, as in it is what it is he wants, including career choices, everything. And at a point, I started to cut up myself, and he just didn't like that, and I just asked Mom to go back by her.
What made you resort to cutting yourself?
When it is, you just reach the point where you're just fed up, you're just over it.
Fed up of what?
Life itself, people always trying to control you, especially when it is you at an age where you can't do much or don't have much input.
Now, how long did you cut yourself for?
It was close to like about 6 months.
What would be the trigger to do that?
Just always having to be controlled and not having a say into your life itself. That could be very, very, very frustrating. Most of the time, to be honest, he wasn't home because he'd always be working. And when it is he do come home from work, he'd be like frustrated due to the job that he had. So I wasn't really seeing much or paid attention to much. But the time that he actually did realize is when I finished, he actually walked in on me and he was just, well, my hand was just there, so.
What was his response?
He got upset and he carried me to the police station. It was a police woman. She put me to a room and, you know, she spoke to me, all of that. And I explained everything to her while he was there. And he just carried me back home and had not a word to say for approximately a week. Oh, the last time when it is actually did ask to go out by my mom is when he came home from work frustrated and he always found the need to like try to hit me because of him being frustrated due to work. And the last time he hit me, I retaliated and I had enough and I said I wanted to go back by my mom.
When you cut yourself, did it give you a feeling of satisfaction or pleasure or anger? What did you feel?
Well, at first you'd be very angry before you do it, but when it is you finish, you would feel a sense of satisfaction. It would basically cool you down. Well, to me, it would have cooled me down and I would just wipe up myself and go sleep.
A very tiny, frail Sarah from South Trinidad was back at her mother's home. The situation had not improved. Money was tight, so Sarah took up a part-time job to support herself through school. However, when her mother began to suffer physical abuse at the hands of a male friend, Sarah decided to escape to what she thought was a safer location.
When it is I went back by mommy, it was a doggy dog. So my mom, as stated, she is a single parent and her salary can cover actually everything. Well, her salary at the time can cover everything, as in 6 children, house,